Hello and welcome. This is Market View. It's 2 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Tuesday edition. It's the 12th of November 2024. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Lungelele Makakula. Do watch us on our YouTube page. We are at Eswatini TV. Today in Market View, we'll connect with business journalist Nelsiwe Ntlangamandla via Zoom. She is in Joburg, South Africa, where she's attending the International Labour Organization workshop. She will give us an insight of the meeting. Then later, an interview where she had a discussion with the principal plant health officer in the Ministry of Agriculture will follow. The purpose of the interview was to understand the importance of the phytosanitary certificate in trade. This follows that the Ministry of Agriculture, working with relevant stakeholders, is currently in talks with the border management of South Africa to resolve the challenges faced by local citrus farmers, especially bananas at the border, where they end up with 30% less consignment because of different phytosanitary tests that have to be conducted, which require that a certain percentage of the products be taken by officials. Stay tuned for this interview. On our final segment, analyst Bia will connect with us and analyze today's financial markets. For now, let's go to our first story. Adopting and domesticating International Labour Organization standards is important as it plays a role in trade. These are some of the sentiments shared during their presentations during the International Labour Organization workshop in Johannesburg, South Africa. We're now joined by business journalist Nelsiwe Ntlangamandla to share a bit of insight into the workshop. Very good afternoon, Nelly. Thank you for tuning into Market View. What is the purpose of this workshop? What is it about?
Thank you so much, Lulu, and good afternoon to the viewer at home. So basically, this workshop is where the International Labour Organization has convened different media professionals, some from government ministries, some from the private sector, where they are discussing labour and employment issues with an understanding that everyone in this workshop, within the private sector, plays a major role in harmonizing the work environment. For the media professionals, it's basically to ensure that we report accurately about the International Labour Organization, as well as play our watchdog role, especially when it comes to issues that touch on Eswatini, especially the labor force.
Yeah. All right, Sinelli. So what significance does the ILO labor standards have on the Kingdom of Eswatini?
The Kingdom of Eswatini, Lulu, exports a lot and they trade with other countries. So it is very important that it follows the International Labour Organization standards, because this will ensure that some of the trade agreements that are signed qualifies Eswatini to be part of the bigger market, because without signing these agreements and following the standards of the International Labour Organization, you'll find that Eswatini doesn't qualify for some of the benefits that comes with following the law and following these standards. I'll make an example. We are trading as a country under AGOA, and some of the requirements is for us to practice decent work as a country. So it is very, very important that Eswatini plays a major role in implementing and domesticating some of the labor standards, which requires that we practice decent work.
Speaking of decent work, Nelly, what are some of the things that the country is doing to conform to the ILO Decent Work Country Program?
You will remember, Lulu, that recently, I think it was 2022, where the country signed the International Labour Organization Decent Work Country Program. This program seeks to ensure that if we hire people as a country, if there are investors that come to the country, maybe to hire people, they must make sure that they follow all the labor laws. So currently, the Minister of Labour is reviewing I think it's the employment bill of it's 1980. This is an old law, so they are trying to ensure that this bill repeals the 1980 law. Some of the things that they are looking at is to eliminate labor broking, because this is where you find that people are being exploited. They are not maybe given salaries that befit them, or salaries that have been stipulated by the government gazettes. One other thing is the issue of fixed term contracts. This new bill, the employment bill, seeks to ensure that people are hired on favorable conditions. Another thing that the ministry is working on is issues of migration. That when someone comes to Eswatini, the ministries are concerned should know that the person coming to Eswatini, what are they going to do? They are also looking at the Industrial Relations Act, where they want to change some things there to ensure that working in Eswatini is favorable.
Yeah, just last question, Nelly, before I let you go. What are you taking from that workshop? In regards to Eswatini complying or making progress with regards to labor laws.
My take home from this workshop is that even if the labor standards are not enforced in the 187 countries, it is important for every country to ensure that they domesticate them, because they play a very crucial role, especially in trade. Because even if a country will decide that no, we are not following maybe the labor standards, but what is going to happen is that when you want to trade as a country, you can end up being blacklisted in some markets, because maybe you didn't follow some of the labor standards which are enforced by the International Labour Organization. So it is very, very crucial, especially for trade.
All right. Thank you so much, Nelly, for your time. When is the meeting concluding? When are you coming back?
The meeting will conclude on Thursday, so I'll be back home on Friday. But what I can promise to the viewers is that we will be sharing more information about the meeting, especially about the benefits of Eswatini following these international labor organization standards, because they are proving to be very critical, especially for trade. We have seen the country that it is really, really trying on some of these issues, but there are some loopholes there which we will speak to the Labour Commissioner about.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Nelly, for your time. That was a business journalist, Nelsie Wendlangamandla, in Johannesburg, where she's attending the International Labour Organization conference held in Johannesburg. We continue with our program. The Eswatini Revenue Service says by introducing the electronic certificate of origin, it hopes to boost local trade in the Comesa region. Speaking during the official launch at the Eswatini Revenue Service at Eswatini last week, the Acting Commissioner General on the day of the launch, Leonard Ngumalo, promised that the service will handhold local businesses as they get acquainted with the online version. The certificate is issued to an exporter that attests that exported consignment originates from Eswatini. This leads to exemption from some taxes and tariffs in the Comesa region.
Our team is ready to start assisting clients enjoy this digital transition. With a train-the-trainer approach, we have ensured that the internal skills and capacity are sustainable, embedding this knowledge within our institution. As an organization, we are committed to contributing to regional objectives. We will support the uptake of this initiative across member states by providing skills and capacity building support, just as we have done with similar initiatives in the past. In the customs community, we often say borders divide, customs connects. This initiative highlights how technology can facilitate closer integration between trading countries. By enabling direct communication and information exchange between ERS and Comesa systems, we build trust and enhance the authenticity of the documents needed to global trade. The electronic exchange of certificates of origin will also reduce the verification queries clients often encounter, helping businesses clear goods at the border without delay. At ERS, we prioritize innovation and continually seek ways to enhance our processing efficiencies, which translates to improved service for our clients. We are committed to digitalization by default, fully embracing measures that shift operations from manual to automated formats, as outlined in our strategy.
All right, it's 10 minutes after 2, and that's it for our first segment of Market View this afternoon. Let's go for an ad break. When we come back, we listen to Nelson Dlamala's interview.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Market View. This is the Tuesday edition. Thank you for staying with us. The Ministry of Agriculture, working with relevant stakeholders, is currently in talks with the border management of South Africa to resolve the challenges faced by local citrus farmers, especially bananas at the border, where they end up with 30% less consignment because of different phytosanitary tests that have to be conducted, which require that a certain percentage of the product be taken by officials. Begin Zima, Principal Plant Health Officer at the Ministry of Agriculture, says this has not been happening before, but they are working tirelessly to find a solution. Business Eswatini previously issued a statement that these processes were now costing local farmers millions. Business journalist Nelson Dlamala had a discussion with the Principal Plant Health Officer to understand the importance of the phytosanitary certificate in trade.
Mr. Nzima, welcome to the show. I came to you today because I heard that the phytosanitary certificate plays a major part in importation and exportation between countries. Can you explain to us what is this certificate?
To answer your question, let me first give a background as to who we are and how this phyto certificate came into place. Basically, we are within the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Research and Specialist Service. We are otherwise known as the National Plant Protection Organization, and we are established by the Act of Parliament, which is the Plant Health Act of 2020, and whose mandate is to ensure that we prevent the introduction, spread, as well as the establishment of pests in the country. The second mandate, we facilitate trade of safe trade of agricultural produce or plant produce by ensuring safe movement and also ensuring that it does not impact negatively on our environment. In terms of our operations, we are on the inspections and certification. We also do surveillance and diagnosis, and also pest risk analysis, as well as information management. So to come to the question as to what a phyto is, a phytosanitary certificate it's a legally recognized instrument or permit that allows a trader to move plants and plant products from one part of the country to another part of the country or between countries. Otherwise, it's known as the PC. In order to do that, if you first have to obtain an import permit, in this case, it would be your trading partner. Let me use South Africa for instance. In order to move any plant product, you need to obtain an import permit from the South African side. In that import permit, they will state the conditions in which they will accept your products to enter into their territory. The same applies in Eswatini. Whenever you want to bring any products or plants into the country, we set out the conditions, and then the South African sides will then certify that these conditions that we have set out are indeed met. And to do that, they will then issue a phytosanitary certificate.
Having clearly articulated the importance of this certificate, how many businesses locally have you issued these certificates to?
This certificate is very, very crucial or important in that together with my team, for instance, for the past 3 months, we have issued around 8,450 certificates from our quarterly reports. So it's a very, very important. It's not only for food and even forest products, wood. As long as it's exported to the other countries, it has to have that certificate, phytosanitary certificate. So you can as well see the scope. We also have other products like avocados. They are sold to UK. They need this phytosanitary certificate in order to enter UK market. We also have oranges. In order for them to enter EU, they need this certificate. Each consignment needs a certificate.
Another issue that I want to bring to you today is that of local farmers, the citrus farmers, especially banana farmers, they are facing a challenge now at the border where they are saying that because of the different processes of testing, they end up with 30% less of their consignment. What is causing this challenge, especially now because you've been working well with your South African counterparts?
Okay, at the border, at the moment, we are currently having some impasse with our neighbors, South Africa. You would recall that a larger share of our products are destined for South African markets. However, this impasse started only this year, whereby the South African side, they introduced an agent known as border management agent. Mm-hmm. And along that agency, they came with new regulations of doing their business, of doing their inspection. So as such, these new regulations are somehow disadvantaging our exporters in that, first of all, that inspection is not conducted in a conducive environment. It's just done in an open space. And our produce are in a way disadvantaged because ideally to do the inspection, it has to be in a proper facility in that the temperatures of the consignment will be maintained at the same temperature in the room where you do the inspection. So right now, the inspection is just done in an open. So in case of bananas, when you open them in the open, you are somehow tampering with the temperature regime. For our banana, they have to maintain a constant temperature of 13 degrees Celsius from the pack house up until to the final destination. So what they are doing is somehow disadvantaging our exporters. Secondly, they also require that the exporter should provide labor for taking out the cartons, offloading from the truck, and then they inspect and then reloading again, which is again not what the international community is advocating. Thirdly, the issue of samples. Again, it's an anomaly in that as we do our inspections at the pack house, we inspect about 10% of the whole consignment. And at times we sometimes do what is known as destructive sampling. So it means 10% at the pack house. And also when they do this inspection, the South African side now at the border, they will take again some samples, and the bed the bad side of it is that they do not return those samples because they not have the labs to continue doing the tests. So they will just take the samples. In case of banana, they may take about 15 cartons, put them aside, and then the next truck they take another 15. So, and they also do not even get back to us to say, okay, we have inspected this product and this is what we found. They never do that. They never give us the feedback. So this is what we are still engaging the South African on those grounds.
How fast can these farmers expect a solution, Mr. Nzima? Because as you have rightly said, they are now losing a lot of money because of all these processes.
Okay, on the government side, we are actively engaging our counterpart, South African Border Management Agent. Just this week on Tuesday, we had the high delegation from Eswatini visiting South African side, and one of the agenda was the issue on those sampling, and also the issue because it has other impacts. For instance, if that truck is while it's still being inspected, it definitely caused some delays on the South African, because other trucks, they cannot just go in while the other one is being inspected. So it caused delays on our side, and we are hopeful that at the end we will find some common grounds.
Going forward, Mr. Nzima, what is in the pipeline? What is it that you are going to do to help local farmers as a department?
Well, going forward, we will try to improve our efficiencies in terms of inspections, and also efficiencies in terms of reaching out to the farmers. And also by reaching out, I'm referring to, because some of these farmers, we have to assist them or make them aware of the requirements so that they can comply with the requirements for those particular markets. For instance, avocados, at some point there was some impasse on the Eswatini side. You know, our mothers, they sell a lot of avocados there. Some will even be tempted to sell one avocado, and we have engaged, and of which South African side, they didn't want a situation where one person could be allowed to buy one avocado. But we negotiated on their behalf so that they allow a movement of, say, 5 kg avocados from the Eswatini side. If it's well packaged, it has got some distinguishing marks to say this product is coming from Eswatini, then the South African side, they will know that this is a product of Eswatini, and then they will allow it to be sold, or allow a passenger to enter into South Africa with those avocados. Otherwise, we are just there to support or to service our stakeholders.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Mr. Nzima. Let's hope that the impasse at the border will be resolved, because from a statement from Business Eswatini, they rightly said that the farmers are now losing millions because of maybe delays, transport delays, and also stock that gets spoiled. So we are hoping that you'll find a lasting solution to this problem.
All right, so moving on to our final segment. That was Nelson Dlagamandla having an interview with Bheki Nzima from the Ministry of Agriculture on discussing solutions in phytosanitary test impasse at border. Moving on to our final segment, we connect now with Sanles Bia for today's financial markets. Mrs. Bia, very good afternoon and welcome to the program. Starting maybe with international markets, we see that the European Central Bank says Europe must prepare for new trade with the U.S. Take us through markets today. We have only 5 minutes, Mrs. Bia.
Thank you, Lou. Good afternoon to the viewer. So if you look into the US, you can see that, as of yesterday when markets closed, they were still actually just riding the Trump wave, and we saw the S&P 500 reaching that 6,000 mark, which actually showed some optimism amongst the equities. That's purely because the Trump presidency is expected to actually benefit quite a number of US companies. So right now what we're seeing is traders playing around with those stocks that they think are most likely going to benefit from a Trump presidency, and that is the likes of your Tesla, the Nvidia. So we're seeing those ones continuing to lead the mark, but we are waiting to see economic data as it comes out this week to see in terms of the state of the economy and what the trajectory of the interest rate cuts will become a Trump presidency, because some of his policies might be inflationary, meaning that we might see a higher for longer type of situation in terms of the interest rates. Moving on into Europe, that's where we're seeing now that, that nervousness around the second term of Trump's presidency. So markets are down across the globe. If you look at the FTSE 100, it's just on the touch of that 8,000 mark. These are levels we last saw, say, around in May or April of this year. Otherwise, it has been hovering around 8.3, 8.2-ish type of range. But now it's coming back to that because of that Trump type of frenzy in terms of we don't know what's going to happen. And, there's also the China story that is also coming into play, with China failing to posit the required growth. And then with that outlook in the US, then now we're seeing those European stocks moving that way. Moving along to Asia. Again, we're seeing Asia taking quite a knock. Again, it's on the background of that trade war that is coming. We know that President Trump has already stated that he is going to impose a 10% tariff on all commodities coming into the US, and the story might even be worse for China. We saw in his last term, President Trump really was very aggressive towards China there. So that's what the markets are trying to look into today, and just trying to figure out and get a feel of what a new Trump presidency will be like. But we know that it usually doesn't bode well for China, for example, and those trade wars that might be coming. And then moving into South Africa, again, the South African stock markets are also on that type of nervous type of situation, where we are looking into China, where we're hoping the stimulus are going to give us the expected growth, and then looking west again, where you're seeing that with the new Trump presidency coming into play and the tariffs, that means, African countries, including South Africa, might lose that preferential access, depending on how Trump plays it. So right now, it's some nervousness that is not yet backed up by what is actually going to happen in the market. So we are waiting to see as he comes up with his cabinet and as he tables that policy stance. And then in the local markets, nothing has moved. Then moving into commodities, what you are seeing there is, on the strength of a dollar, gold continues to lose ground. It's back on the 2,500 mark right now. And what we're seeing with oil is that oil is somehow at a very low level, but on a bit of an uptick today, because there is that weak demand coming in from China and that uncertainty around how the US is going to handle their entire policy around the Ukraine, the Israel issue, and also in terms of their crude oil reserves. So that's what we're seeing markets trying to adjust to right now. And then coming into currencies, you can see that the Lilangeni has actually given up quite a lot of the gains that it had made since the GNU election. That's on the background of a strengthening dollar, given a new Trump presidency. And we know that those inward-looking policies or the protectionist policies of Trump will actually benefit Americans and the dollar by extension, but that may not necessarily be good news for the local currency. And that's what we're seeing markets trying to stomach in today and trying to digest, Lulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear, for that analysis for today's financial markets. And that's it for the Tuesday edition of Market View. It's 2:30. Thank you for tuning in. If you've just tuned in, worry not. You can still watch this episode on our YouTube page. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.